Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Predictions. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It is Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. Opening day is tomorrow. I'd like you to pretend that you were not listening to the show on March 18th and 19th, or even March 17th when I told you when the season opens in Tokyo at 6 a.m. on the 18th, that's the opening of the season. Because we do the show every day, I feel it is well within my right, if not purview, to say to you, opening day is March 27th, that 18th and 19th two-game series in Tokyo. It's in the past. Who cares that the Dodgers are starting the season 2-0, that the Cubs are opening 0-2 with new player, fielder, left, Kyle, right, Tucker. Opening day's tomorrow. Every opening day since my last, which was 2017. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh my golly. That's 8 opening day eves that I have been thinking about what I loved about the day before. You go to the ballpark and you see the bunting that's getting put up. You don't put it up early. You see the stencils on the field that you've approved that you got from baseball, and it says MLB, and it's the logo, the silhouette with opening week. Used to be opening day, but the stencil stays because no one wants to remove it, so they make it opening week. We'll see what it says tomorrow. Maybe this year they changed it to opening day. You check the ticket sales because you haven't sold out the game yet. You're figuring out what you're going to do. You're doing a walk around the stadium, including the clubhouse, all the areas behind the scenes. You start picking out your clothes for the next day because you wear a tie and a blazer. And you go talk to every one of your employees and say, happy opening day. On March 26th, the day before, you go into the clubhouse and you listen to the reading of the gambling rule as all the players report. Some of them excited, thrilled, nervous, anxious, despondent, tired, hurt, nervous. You go around each player as they get dressed. Well, not necessarily as they're getting dressed, but in the clubhouse, and then you're out in the field during the workout. The media is there. You meet the media, and your message to the media, if you're president of the team, is we are super excited for this season. We are confident in our ability to win games this season. It's your last chance because you get column inches. That's an old school term. You're getting attention the day before opening day, and you know you're getting attention tomorrow. Then you go upstairs to the office after the workout, and the home team gets to choose what time they want to work out. So take the Marlins, who are playing the Pittsburgh Pirates tomorrow. Pittsburgh has landed. They are in Florida right now. They will work out today at Marlins Park. We get to choose when we'll work out. We generally like to work out at the exact time of the game when opening day is in the afternoon. So 4 o'clock opening day tomorrow, I would choose, along with our president of baseball ops, to work out at 4 o'clock. Then the visiting team gets to choose whether they want to work out before or after. We have to make that available to them, and we do. Home team chooses. Once the workout is done, back to your office, and you have a final meeting with your staff, GM, AGM, president of baseball ops, and you're finalizing the roster, which has to be submitted tomorrow, opening day. You're going through the lineup for opening day again. You're getting the manager in on that conversation, or at least sending him the text. You are talking about with your marketing and sales people and your customer service people what you're doing special opening day. Your assistant is giving you your schedule of the appearances you have to make. Your PR team is giving you your schedule of interviews that you have to do the next day. And the thing on the baseball side that we're focused on is, what are we looking for in the first month of the season? What kind of results? And we do it by player, and then we do it for the team. We think about and we put in writing what we need to see, having gone through the schedule, knowing what our schedule is, our opponents, etc. Because what we always want going into a season are the guardrails. When are we going to decide? And you'll hear me talk about this a lot during the course of a baseball season. When do we admit we got it wrong, either to the positive or to the negative? Because we're not going to be the team that was supposed to be bad. All of a sudden you're good, but you say we're not going to add at the deadline because we weren't supposed to be good. We may be the team that if we're bad, but we were supposed to be good, or at least we deluded ourselves into thinking that we're good, that we're going to say in May and June, hey, we're going to turn it on starting tomorrow. Well, at least we have guardrails. What we don't do on March 26th, 2025, with opening day the next day, is we don't ever relitigate the offseason. We leave that to people in the media. We leave that to fans. We don't talk about the players we didn't get, the trades we could have made, didn't make, the signings that we didn't make or could have made, the signings that we did make and didn't want to make. We have a very set rule that really worked for us. When you go in for the pre-opening day workout, that closes the offseason, because many people will tell you spring training closes it. Not me. Spring training, we sit around all day, every day in each other's offices talking about, my God, we should have done that. Can we still do that? We shouldn't have done that. Why did we do that? Let's examine our processes. The day before opening day, Ganug, it's done. You are looking forward, period. Of course, though, I'm in a position. I've got the camera, the microphone, and I've got Coca. That means I get to talk about what the off-season stories were. The top 5. I'm going to do a bunch of top 5s today. I don't know. Dan is doing his pre-show work in Miami. If you're watching right now, Dan, live, and I'll bet $1 you're not, but I got a bunch of top 5s for you. Top 5 off-season stories. Number 5, the Dodgers double down. The Dodgers, after a season last year where they signed Ohtani and Yamamoto, said, hey, what happens if we win the World Series? Oh, we did win the World Series. What should we do? Yes, let's keep going. And they kept going in a way that made my eyes tear. They signed Sasaki. It's not a bunch of money, but he was the top rookie pitching free agent. They signed Blake Snell, 5 years, $182 million. That wasn't enough. How about Tanner Scott? We'll take him too. How about Michael Conforto? Why not? The Dodgers. Hello, 4869. Hi. It's opening day tomorrow, and I'm David Sampson. The Dodgers said, we're going to be the first team to repeat since the Yankees of 98 to 2000, and we're not going to just say that we're good enough to bring everyone back. We're going to get better. Number 4, the A's and the Rays found a place to play. Now, don't bother me, please, with the fact that they're playing in a spring training stadium and a minor league stadium. Let's not quibble over facts. The A's and Rays were the talk of the offseason, going to Sacramento from Oakland, a relocation, a temporary relocation. I can't wait, Coca. I didn't do enough research. Does anyone have video of whether or not the players have their bullpens and clubhouses out in the outfield? I did see a picture of the grass. Yippee-ki-yay. Wait till it's $120. You're going to love it. 10 years a pro player in the heat and wetness of the grass and dirt. It puts the in pleasant. The Tampa Bay Rays made sure they did a ton of things so you knew that they have taken over Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. outstanding job putting up a little tarp that says Rays with a few sponsors, a local Tampa hospital, put a few pictures of a few players. They're not the only team that needs a Facebook for their team. Not a terrible team, you just probably haven't heard of many. But the funny thing about both the A's and the Rays, that the top offseason story number 4 is they found a place to play, is they're going to have to be again a top offseason story, finding another place to play. Vegas? Meh. Back at the Trop? We'll see. Number 3, the RSN meltdown continued. We spent a lot of time on regional sports networks and the flow of local revenue down to the team, and it was not a good offseason. You are going to see a lot of GMs and presidents in their media availabilities today and tomorrow tell you that they're super duper excited about all the opportunities for everybody to watch games on all the over-the-air channels and all of their streaming apps for $19.99 a month. How everyone's in a great place. You're going to hear FanDuel Network under the leadership of Norby Williamson tell you that we are rolling. We have gotten ourselves out of bankruptcy. What they won't tell you is they're all one-year deals. What they won't tell you is that all these teams that decided not to go with MLB but do a one-year deal with their network are getting less money than what was contracted before bankruptcy. Don't kid yourself. When a company files for bankruptcy and has obligations, they're doing it so they don't have to pay the obligations. If you were getting $80 million a year after bankruptcy, hey, do you want to come back? How do you feel about 50? Well, that stinks. That's okay. How do you feel about 0? That is the choice that these teams had to make, because baseball, even with the extra fund that they agreed to with the union, which they could distribute to teams who had lost media revenue, there was not enough money in that fund to make everybody whole, not even close. The RSN meltdown continued throughout the offseason. It's going to continue throughout the season, and it ain't stopping. Number 2, the New York Yankees said goodbye to Juan Soto and said hello to a mix of players, from Max Fried to Devin Williams to Paul Goldschmidt, and said, I think 3 is better than 1. The question is, with the Yankees and Garrett Cole being injured and Giancarlo Stanton being injured, and looking at the replacement for Juan Soto, did the Yankees actually improve? The odds makers would tell you that they are still favored to win the American League. People inside baseball will tell you that there is probably nothing less likely in the 2025 season than the New York Yankees going back to the World Series. The New York Yankees had to do something that they shouldn't have had to do. They are in a position, because they haven't won a World Series since 2009, hadn't been to the World Series until last year since 2009. They felt they could not take a step backwards with the eroding value of Yes Network, with average ticket price not even close to where they wanted it to be. Do not be fooled by the announcement of their revenue number. You have to look at their expenses. The Yankees felt that they had to act quickly, and acting quickly is how you overpay. There is no one in the industry who is going to give Max Fried 8 years, $218 million. Nobody. The Yankees felt relieved to do that instead of going 15-765 to Juan Soto, except it's horse hockey. They wanted to do Juan Soto. They were ready to do Juan Soto. And when you pivot to a strategy, I don't care how much you do a meeting where you say, and this is a funny one for people in business, where you do all the planning and you think about it sort of like what you would do in a fire drill if there were a real fire, or if there were a real issue on your plane. Are you going to calmly leave the plane, leave your carry-on stuff, and follow the lights to the exit? Or are you going to run around like a chicken without its head? When you make plans for what you're going to do after Juan Soto, you make those plans, but it feels really different when you get the call from Boras that Juan Soto's going across town. It's a big story what the Yankees did. And the number 1 off-season story Spoiler alert, Juan Soto is now on the Mets. I don't really have to say more about that except to tell you that Stevie was not going to be denied. It was not even a question of how it was going to work. Juan Soto decided that he was going to go to bed with Steve Cohen in Flushing in the chop shops with the possibility of a casino, knowing that he was going to a team that even when you add him to that team, that he had a better chance of winning with the existing Yankee team than with his existing Mets team. How that plays out and the absolute traitor-like action of Juan Soto was the biggest off-season story. So let's turn the page. Let's turn the page to the top 5 stories to watch this coming season. Wait, I have some OLIs here. There you go, Dan. It's only 8:16. You're not on for another 44 minutes. OLI. Did the Orioles do enough to keep their window wide open with their young core? Bringing in Tyler O'Neill for 3 years, $49.5 million, signing Gary Sanchez to a 1-year deal. Yeah, Yankee fans, don't be distraught. Gary Sanchez is a below average player. Charlie Morton, 1 year. Who would you rather have, Corbin Burns or Charlie Morton? Don't get me wrong, Charlie Morton, he is a gamer. He takes the ball. He has been around the block. Of course, you'd rather have Corbin Burns. On the other hand, you say it's a 1-year deal. On the other hand, you've got Gunnar Henderson on the injured list already. On the other hand, you've got Batista back. Your bullpen is going to be strong. On the other hand, the Orioles are in a division where it seems entirely unlikely that they will be able to win 95 games. OLI number 2. How quickly will Max Fried not earn his 8-year $218? OLI number 3. How quickly will Alex Bregman fall in love with the Green Monster? There's been a lot of talk about the Red Sox. You may hear about them later in this show. Alex Bregman leaving the Astros for the Red Sox was a huge story this offseason. Didn't quite break my top 5, but it was a great story because Boris promised him a rose garden and ended up with a tulip. The hope is that Bregman can turn into Snell and that Bregman can turn 3-1-20 next year into a 6-year deal, maybe even a 7-year deal, but it will require Bregman and Devers to get along and not be Hanley and Jose Reyes. It will require Bregman to not get seduced by the Green Monster. And it will require the Red Sox to actually perform for the first time in multiple years. Okay. Number 5. The top 5 stories to watch. Will Juan Soto lead the Mets back to the LCS at least? The reason why that's my number 5 story is that it's one of those things that we'll talk about during the course of the season. We won't know it until October if they make the playoffs. And the question will be the measurement of the juice. Because Steve Cohen has already told you he did a lot of squeezing to have the payroll where it is. And he did that squeezing in order for the Mets to take the next step. He did the squeezing not to win the pennant, not to lose in the LCS, not to win the division. No. He squoze every last drop out of that big red apple to actually win a ring. Number 4, we're going to watch all season whether or not the Tampa Bay Rays playing 45 of their first 59 games at home in a strange schedule quirk in order to try to give the players a break from playing outside in Florida. We never got that break, and we were playing outside in Florida. Not exactly sure why everyone is shoveling elephant tard in order to get the Rays a favorable schedule like that. But it's not that I'm jealous. I'm just saying we're rewarding the Rays. Oh, I guess it's a natural disaster, force majeure. It couldn't have been expected what happened. That said, having the Rays play in Tampa open air where the Yankees spring train, we're going to be following that story all year. The Tampa Bay Rays already announced a sellout for their opening day. Let me tell you something. It would be my dream. Tarp 28,000 seats of Marlins Park and announce a sellout every goddamn day. And then have a sellout streak that would make John Henry and Fenway Park blush. Announcing a sellout of a major league game of a stadium that has a capacity of 11,000. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to lead with that in my PR package unless people, you're not buying it, are you? Another example of teams or baseball treating you like you're dumb. Number 3, will Shohei Ohtani pitch? And if he does pitch, will he pitch successfully? Shohei Ohtani has not pitched on mound since February 25th. This coming Saturday, which is a date that I can't quite think of, unless Thursday's the 27th, which makes Saturday the 29th, Shohei Ohtani will take the mound again to throw a bullpen. Shohei Ohtani is not close to throwing in a major league game unless they put him in the bullpen and they ramp him up only to be a bullpen guy, and I assure you that would be idiotic. So in order to stretch him out, they're going to try to do his spring training during the actual regular season in major league games in order to protect his bat. They already told you they didn't want to put him down to a rehab assignment. It is unheard of to not pitch in rehab games when you've had Tommy John. It is unconscionable to not have rehab games when you've had a second Tommy John. But don't at me or anything. Don't go ahead and tell me that he didn't have a second Tommy John. He had some sort of other surgical repair that they're not telling you. Nope. It was Tommy John. And if the Dodgers are telling you that they're not going to send him out, then let's watch him do spring training during a game, and let's see if he can actually come back and be a successful two-way player. Number 2, everybody's talking about this except for Coca. Will the Los Angeles Dodgers be the greatest team to ever play the game? The greatest regular season team is the Seattle Mariners. They won 116 games. Don't worry, I know exactly what happened in the postseason, but that's not what I'm telling you the story to watch is. The story to watch is, do the Dodgers win 116 games? Now, it is true they are off to an amazing start. They are 2-0. The odds of them breaking this record? Get ready, Pablo. De minimis. And the number 1 story that I'm watching this season is, how will MLB replace ESPN? ESPN sent Carl Ravitch out yesterday to do a whole bunch of talking about his career at ESPN, what a great partner ESPN has been to baseball, what a great fan of baseball ESPN is, all the great coverage ESPN does, how he hopes there'll be a continuation of a deal. And in fact, there won't be a divorce. There'll be a reconciliation. And I don't mean for one night, just for one last time, one final moment to say, oh, I remember, that's only decent. No. MLB is out right now selling a package that they lost at $550 million valuation. Home Run Derby, Sunday nights, postseason. Will MLB prove me right and John Skipper wrong? That is a story that I'll be watching this offseason. Ooh, we have a lot to get to. Okay, Coco, we're going to take an early break. When we come back, we're going to review a movie, and then I'm going to go through my predictions for division winners, wild card winners, and individual awards. We do want to get to all that. First, though, let's take a break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It is David Sampson. We are here Monday to Friday, currently from 8 to 8:50 Eastern, or 10 to 11 on the DraftKings Network. We're on the Nothing Personal with David Sampson YouTube channel. Please visit that channel, subscribe. I am in my son's bar mitzvah blazer. Well, the blazer that I wore to his bar mitzvah. I put it on yesterday like Steve Martin in the attic of Father of the Bride. Found it in the closet during a cleaning, which I don't do during the spring. I do it pretty much on a day that ends with Y. And I said, I may fit into this. And I did. Made me happy. I watch a movie every day, even during the baseball season. I already watched my movie today, Coca. I guess I could review what I watched this morning very, very early, but I'm going to save that for another day because there's a reason I want to review The Brutalist today. The Brutalist is the movie that you know from this past month's Academy Awards. Actually, it was this month. I think it was on March 2nd. It was only 24 days ago. The Brutalist stars Adrian Brody, who won the Best Actor Oscar. Remember that long speech? Remember Conan O'Brien wants to host the Oscars next year, which he will because he wants to hear the end of the Adrian Brody speech? But here's the thing about The Brutalist. It's scaring too many people off with its 3-hour and 25-minute runtime. I beg you, when I tell you to watch a limited series that's 4 one-hour episodes, you don't give it a thought. You go right through it. The Brutalist has a baked-in intermission. It's broken up into parts, and you can break it up into your own parts. You can watch an hour, and then third episode, an hour 20. Who wouldn't do that? It's like 3 weeks of Severance. I can't figure out what the big deal is. The Brutalist is about not a person who is a Holocaust survivor, though he is. That really is not the point of the movie. The reason I'd like you to watch the movies, I'd like you to think about what the American dream is and whether or not it actually can be a nightmare. I'd like you to think about what it is, the power dynamic that exists between people from America and immigrants. I'd like you to think about what it is to understand that people not from this country may love this country as much, if not more, than some people who live in this country. I'd like you to go back and think about what it is to create a civilization, to have the foresight or thought not on a video game or on your computer, but the decisions that have to be made that we all complain about as it relates to infrastructure, building materials, all the things that we tend to take for granted on the negative side. The Brutalist is a movie that goes through a lot of those decisions as they're being made. It's not a documentary, and it's not a necessarily pleasant watch, though there are terrific performances, including by Academy Award nominees Felicity Jones and Guy Pearce. But what's interesting as you watch it, and I hope you do, is trying to go below the story and think about how you interact with people like Brody and his character, how you'd interact with someone like a Guy Pearce and what he does with his power dynamic. It absolutely fascinated me to watch it, so I would like you to as well. You know how we do this show. I hope after 1,242 episodes, this is 1,243, not counting mailbags and sit downs. You know that I make mistakes. I may have made one earlier in this show. I'm doing this without a net, with a camera. Coca, Sarah, we're looking. I've got topics, no script. I've got my brain, and sometimes my brain goes foggy. It's got to be normal. And I love it when you send me corrections. DavidSampsonPodcast.com. David P. Sampson on X, Instagram. You can find us everywhere. Someone wrote to me, correction update in all caps. When talking about Skeens in Pittsburgh today, you mentioned De La Cruz. He's the stud. Not really a stud, but he's the stud on the Reds. O'Neill Cruz is on the Pirates. You're right. Got that one wrong. Please keep the corrections coming. I'm totally fine with it. Don't be shy, Kajagoogoo. I'm not very good at picking games recently. I cannot wait to give you my pick tomorrow because it's baseball. Although I only went 1-1 in the Cubs-Dodgers opening series. I can't be worse than telling you the Warriors would beat the Heat yesterday in Jimmy Butler's return. The Heat crushed the Warriors. Now, of course, Curry didn't play. And of course, Jimmy Butler put the M in mediocre. He must have been overwhelmed with emotion. The video they played prior to the game must have put a tear in his eye such that he had a hole in his shoe. The Heat were all jacked up saying, "We don't need you, Jimmy. We're happy you're gone, Jimmy." And all I kept thinking, watching that pregame video, the ode to Jimmy, was what Pat Riley must have been thinking when the video was playing. The way that works is the president of the team hears from in-game entertainment. They say, "Hey, we've got a player coming back who we traded. He's a big part of our franchise history. What do you want to do? A rocking chair, a jersey, a video? Do you want to just do a close-up during intros? What is it you'd like to do, if anything? Do you want to stop the game when he comes to the plate to let him tip his cap? Do you want it? Because then you have to tell the umpires, by the way. There's a little known fact. Umpires always know. They may tell you they don't. They know every single thing that's going on during the game because we have to tell them what milestones are happening, whether or not there's a guy getting his first at bat, whether or not we're trying to save a first strikeout ball, a first pitch ball, whether or not there's a player who we're going to do some sort of video for during the game or take a minute for an applause because it impacts the pitch clock. And even before the pitch clock, we always had to tell the umpires what we were doing. So the in-game entertainment goes to maybe Eric Woolworth, president of business ops, maybe right to Pat Riley and says, "Hey, we cut this video. What do you think?" If I'm Pat Riley, I would have told him to stick that video where the sun don't shine, Katrina. Walk out of my office. I don't think you have the right to behave the way Jimmy Butler did and then get a video going through all the great moments Jimmy Butler had. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Jimmy Butler's video was the fact that he got to go to Golden State. Jimmy Butler's video was the fact that the Heat allowed him to earn the balance of his salary post-suspension for conduct unbecoming anybody, especially a supposed leader of a team, though we all know he wasn't a leader. A video so the fans can celebrate? My answer would have been, when he takes the court and gets introduced, cheer him, boom, do whatever you want. Fans have an opportunity. There is no reason in the world for that video to have been shown. With a scattering of boos, a scattering of cheers, rewarding Jimmy Butler, there's no way Pat Riley should have. That, to me, is a sign that Pat Riley is getting older. The Pat Riley I know would tell the video person to stick it. Now, it doesn't matter that the Heat won that game. It's not a revenge game because look where the Warriors are and look where the Heat are. Do you think the Heat are saying to themselves, "Oh, man, we're so much better without Jimmy Butler, a well-behaved, performing Jimmy Butler. Look at our playoff positioning. This is great. Maybe we can fail better for flag, or maybe we can win a play-in game having to beat the Bulls and then two other teams just to have to play the Cavs. Let's do it." I found it all to be quite ridiculous. So we're 24-33. Well, I'm a stubborn mule. I always have been, Coca. I don't take losing easily. I'm so, as you know, ultra competitive. Wouldn't let my kids win a card game, forget a board game. We had the Lakers the other day, and the Lakers got whooped. Well, the Lakers are playing the Pacers, and I'm going total Jimmy V. Don't ever give up. Taking the Lakers -1.5. LeBron, game 2, back from straight high. 3-8-6-9. LeBron James back from strained groin. 0-1. I like his chances to go 1-1. Lakers -1.5 over the Pacers of Indianapolis. 24-33. All right, let's talk about the baseball season. Let's get back to our word of the day, which was prediction. Let's talk about these 6 divisions and see where we can find some value for you. It's a very funny thing when you're looking at the odds. DraftKings has odds on all this. And odds are subject to change. When you're on CBS or on any network, DraftKings, doesn't matter which network, often the media, people in the media or insiders are said, "What's the value pick?" And I have a question to all the people out there, if you don't mind, and feel free to give me answers in the chat. if you are live in our chat on Nothing Personal with David Sampson. What is the use of value if you lose the bet? I'm just not following that exactly. So, for example, the Dodgers are minus 500 to win the NL West. Are you afraid of that because you don't want to lay 500? Because you can certainly take the Diamondbacks if you want, take the Padres. You may want to suck up to Buster Posey and take the Giants and get huge plus money. But in what scenario, in what simulation led by Ed Harris do the Dodgers not win the NL West? I'm just asking. So, yes, it means you're going to win a little less because you have to risk a little more. But wouldn't you rather win a little less than lose? That's what I have been misunderstanding from the beginning of my relationship with DraftKings, which I love and appreciate and am thankful for. But I'll give you value. The Dodgers are going to win the NL West. The NL Central is an interesting division. I would like to take a moment here, Coke, if you don't mind. And this is only, now I don't want you to turn me off. I don't want you to be turned off. But this is really for people in St. Louis. You know how much I love some of you more than others. And I know how much you love your Cardinals. And I know how jealous I am of the Cardinals fans because of the success you've had. How jealous I always was of the DeWitt family, who didn't get the Orioles with Peter Angelos in the early 90s, instead bought the Cardinals and have had huge jewelry success, revenue success, new ballpark success, ballpark village success. So it pains me to tell you that I don't care what the odds are for the St. Louis Cardinals, and Coke is going to whisper it in my ear to win the division. They have no chance, toilet pants. Not one. We're not used to seeing the Cardinals in a position going into a season where they can't win. The Cardinals are in a position, spoiler alert, they can't even make the playoffs. This is going to be the type of year that you're not used to. So I encourage you to find solace in other pursuits, like a daily podcast or maybe a visit to New York. Because if I were you, well, you may be tempted to go for the plus 600. That is a losing proposition. So there is no value. So hop on a plane. Come visit. The NL East is my favorite division. You know that. I was in it for all 18 years in baseball. I see the Braves in my sleep. I hear the chop in my living, waking nightmares. The Atlanta Braves are starting Chris Sale tomorrow, and you may say, how can Chris Sale stay healthy? How is it even possible that the Braves, and they don't have Strider back for another month? Oh, by the way, they don't have Acuna for another month. Silver lining, they're going to be back early in the season. And the Phillies certainly seem to be a deeper, better team with a better rotation. And look at that offense with Bryce, who's getting ready to accept a 59-year extension for $690 gazillion. The fact of the matter is the Braves are still the toast of the NL East. While it is slim at plus 110, the Braves will prevail in the National League East. Forgiveness for not discussing the Marlins, but I think you know where I stand. Let's go over to the American League. Who remembers my pick of the day today? Raise your hand if you don't mind. Do you remember that I told you don't ever give up? Do you remember my World Series pick last year? To my friends in the Pacific Northwest, I haven't forgotten about you. I love you. I'm sorry that you didn't get another bat, but don't you worry. When Ichiro throws out the first pitch tomorrow to start another season, you will look back on this as the start of an amazing journey toward a division title. I'm not giving up on the Seattle Mariners and their rotation, regardless of injury, regardless of lack of bat, while acknowledging it was very nice that they signed Rowley to a $100 million extension. He was on the team anyway. While acknowledging the disapproval that many of you have up there, not over the weather, but over the beauty of wasting a rotation that is to die for. The Mariners will prevail in the AL West. And you're going to get plus 250 for that little nugget. The nugget I have in the AL Central is a little better than that. A lot of people are super excited about the Detroit Tigers. Super duper excited. I am too, actually. The Detroit Tigers made unbelievable progress with AJ Hinch, the aforementioned Houston Astros manager who was let go in the garbage can banging scandal. He's got a team full of top draft picks who are performing well. He's got an AL Cy Young Award winner, Scooble. He's got a free agent re-signed in Jack Flaherty. He's got position players, the least of which is Torkelson, who has to prove that he actually is a 1-1. Except the Tigers aren't my pick to win the division. You have to go to the place that's fighting for a new stadium. You have to go to a place in the middle of the country that puts the H in HO triple T. You think it's hot in Tampa during the summer. Why don't you go to Kansas City? You can fry an egg on your forehead. Do yourself an opportunity and watch the rotation of the Royals. Do yourself a favor and take a look at Seth Lugo and say, wow, that guy's the second or third best pitcher they have. Take a look at who Coca thinks is going to win the Cy Young Award this year. Take a look at who may be the best position player in baseball, not counting designated hitter, Bobby Witt Jr. The Royals are deep. Now, you would say to yourself, Salvador Perez has no chance to be good. He's 169 years old. And I'll tell you, a plus 270, the Royals are going to win the AL Central. How about the AL East? Yankees? Nope. Orioles? Sorry. Blue Jays? You got this. One more run with Vladimir Guerrero. You brought in Santander. You have an absolute opportunity with Berrios, your opening day pitcher, a deep staff, a bullpen, not bad and fortified. Nope. Tampa Bay Rays, a.k.a. Steinbrenner's Rays. Nope. Why are the Boston Red Sox plus 350? They may have the best number one in that division. Now, I don't like what he does and how he says, and that he wants an extension, won't pitch this, won't pitch that. The fact is that the most important offseason acquisition was Garrett Crochet. The Red Sox are plus 350 to win that division, and we're taking them. So those are your 6 playoff teams because they're division winners. How about wild card winners? I'd like to apologize before we start. I'm sorry, Toronto. You are loyal to me. I get it. Even Montreal is. But nope. The Blue Jays will not make the playoffs. I'm sorry, New Yorkers. I understand we have a big audience in New York, and you know that Giancarlo is my favorite, off and on the field. But nope. The 3 wild card teams in the American League are going to be the aforementioned Tigers, the aforementioned Orioles, and the Texas Rangers. You may be saying to yourself, the Texas Rangers, the team that won the World Series 2 years ago over the Diamondbacks, are they still good enough with Eovaldi still as their opening day starter? You bet your bippy. Take a look at that lineup. The Rangers are minus 125 to make the postseason. The Orioles are minus 150 and the Tigers are plus 110. Those are your 3 wild card teams. When it comes to the National League, I've got the same picks as everyone else, which means we're probably all wrong. But I don't know how you look at the National League and you do not have the Diamondbacks with Jordan Montgomery leading that great rotation. How you could not have the Diamondbacks making the playoffs. Oh, I'm not making a mistake. I know Jordan Montgomery's getting Tommy John. I know Jordan Montgomery's getting paid $22.5 million. And the good news about Tommy John is Ken Kendrick does not have to look at him the whole season, because I promise you he's going to be rehabbing outside the clubhouse. He will not be on the bench. You wait to see. Corbin Burns at $210 million on that 6-year deal. He is going to lead the Diamondbacks to the playoffs. My NL East rivals, the Phillies, will make it. My NL East rivals, the Mets, will make it. They are heavy, heavy favorites to be in the playoffs, and they will. Your wild card winners in the National League, Diamondbacks, Phillies, and Mets. So how do I feel about the World Series matchup? 2 years ago, we had the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. No one picked that. Last year, I had the Mariners. I don't remember who I had them beating, Coca. I think I may have had the Mariners over the Braves. That didn't work. Well, I got one this year. Yes, it's true. I've got one team that's plus 170 and one team that's plus 900. I had Mariners over Diamondbacks. That was a great pick last year. My World Series pick this year is the Los Angeles Dodgers beating the Boston Red Sox. The reason why I believe the Dodgers will play the Red Sox in the World Series is A, it is a critical year to follow the Dodgers Yankees. It can't be the Yankees. A Dodgers Red Sox World Series will be huge for Major League Baseball. They need that. I'm not giving you conspiracies. I'm just pointing out that having two teams with high payrolls in the World Series again is not optimal for the fighting that owners do about needing a salary cap and a salary floor and competitive imbalance. Having the Dodgers repeat as champions is a pain in the neck for Rob Manfred in his left pocket, but in his right pocket, it's a DCT, a dream come true. And I want dreams to come true for Commissioner Rob Manfred and for all of you too in LA. And for you, Chris Brockman, Dodgers over the Red Sox. That will be your World Series come October. What about some value on the individual award winners? This is one where value actually is something, because how do you really know who the NL Rookie of the Year is going to be? You're going to need to get paid. DraftKings, these are all DraftKings odds. If you watch the Tokyo series, there's a new starting third baseman for the Cubs of Chicago. I believe that the Cubs are actually going to have a really good season. As you may know, I picked the Cubs to win the NL Central at plus 125. A component of the Cubs, Kyle Tucker, the new Cub. The other component is a guy who could very well win NL Rookie of the Year, Matt Shaw. His AL counterpart is also on a playoff team. Let's talk about Jackson Jobe. He's plus 800. You never heard of him? Never watched him pitch? Please do so. It's nasty. It's got movement. He's got pitchability. That's the word that people in baseball use, because you can have stuff, but if you don't have pitchability, then you're not going to win. This guy has pitchability. Manager of the Year. Guess who never wins Manager of the Year? The team that wins 116 games? At some point, Dave Roberts has to win it, doesn't he? Because at some point, you can only be hated so much by your front office and have enough fights with your front office and still get paid 0.1 over the Craig Counsell top managerial salary. At some point, you got to get Manager of the Year. Dave Roberts plus 700. I like it. AL Manager of the Year is a weird one. Going back to my time when Girardi won Manager of the Year because he took a team that was supposed to stink and made him respectable. That was in 2006. Mark Kotsay is a really good manager of the Sacramento Aths. They're going to have some hard time in Sacramento, but we are taking him to win Manager of the Year. Now let's get to the four biggies. Cy Young. Corbin Burns in the National League. Some people think he'll have a hard time adjusting to the National League. Nope. He's going to lead that Diamondbacks rotation and be dominant. He knows the National League, as you know, in Milwaukee. AL Cy Young, Garrett Crochet. Yeah, I've talked about him. Burns is plus 1,200. Crochet is plus 450. These are not the favorites, but watch Crochet pitch. If they'll let him go 30 games and he'll do it, he's going to win. AL MVP, plus 450. You know who I have? Bobby Witt. Again, I beg you, watch Bobby Witt play. It's incredible what he does day in and day out. And when you look at the fact that Ohtani is now in the National League, when you look at the fact that Aaron Judge is still in the American League, but the Yankees are not going to have as successful a season as I predict the Royals will have, that's why I've got Bobby Witt winning the AL MVP. And I close with my National League MVP because I need to continue to eat the crow that I've been eating on Shohei Ohtani since day one. Shohei Ohtani is the most special hitter, pitcher, person, marketer, face of the game that I've seen in my career. If you watch the Tokyo series, I didn't hear that, Coca. If you watch the Tokyo series, you will see exactly what Ohtani means to Japan and what he means to Major League Baseball. He's plus 170 only to win his third MVP in a row, and he's going to do it because the Dodgers are going to keep playing him. If you're watching right now, you see the document on the screen with every one of the picks. Why? We're going to keep that document on davidsampsonpodcast.com. It's going to be part of what we do because I'm not going to hide from these. I'm not going to pretend I didn't talk about this. Opening day's tomorrow. Let's do some business because it's just, this is nothing personal.